morning. Want to thank all the members of the media for being here today. Want to thank all the members of our staff for the great work they've been doing throughout this year as we start a new month. We're grateful to be here for our monthly press conference with you. We've got some exciting news to announce here in just a little bit. But before we get there, I want to just thank the City Council for their work. We had a productive City Council meeting last night. I thought went very, very well. Some good things happening in the city of Montgomery. We've just got to champion those successes and those wins while recognizing some of our challenges. But with that, we know that there's still some things we have to address. And I want to start, since we're here today, with things that are happening in our state legislature. As I've mentioned before, you know, a lot of oxygen is taken up by what happens in Washington, and obviously there's a lot of reason for that, in particular during this time as our servicemen and servicewomen are in war right now in the Middle East and throughout the world. We know that we have Maxwell Air Force Base in our backyard. It's a part of this community for so many years, and so we're praying for all of our men and women to be safe, both there and what their acts can do, as well as all of our servicemen and women throughout the branches of our military. We also know there are civilians that are in harm's way right now that we hope to get back on the safe side of the world and out of harm's way also. But with what's happening in D.C., there are also challenges right here in Alabama, in our state legislature. And I want to highlight just a few local bills that are taking place right now. I want to start with House Bill 450, and that is a House bill that will require individuals in large Alabama cities, including Montgomery, to carry a valid ID when possessing a firearm. This is what we call common sense gun reform. It is a corrective measure that we think helps with the permitless carry bill that the legislature passed a couple of years ago. Since that time, we have seen shootings increase. We have seen non-fatal shootings and certainly other acts of violence committed by handguns go up in cities across Alabama. We think this is a step, an initial step that can be taken to kind of reverse that law that was passed over the objections of sheriffs, police chiefs, as well as district attorneys, and is a corrective measure that will help cities like Montgomery. We also know that there's discussion around a sales tax holiday for gun purchases, but we think before expanding access, we must increase safeguards and make sure that those remain in place to ensure public safety. And so I want to encourage residents to reach out to their state legislators. Want to encourage them to reach out to their members, the State House, of the House of Representatives, and the State Senate to make sure that they express their views on House Bill 450. Now I want to give an update on Senate Bill 298, which is currently under consideration and could change how leadership authority is assigned within local police departments across Alabama. We want to make sure that as this bill has moved out of committee, that the community knows that we stand firmly against the passage of SB 298, which would essentially put the authority of who chooses our police chief under state control. We disagree with that. We believe that local government is closest to the people and knows how to address the challenges and issues that we have better than anybody. And we know that there are challenges in staffing at the local level. We know there are challenges in staffing and law enforcement at the state level. So we want to make sure that no more than any governor would want the president or the Department of Justice or anyone else to tell who should run our state law enforcement agency. No mayor believes that the governor or anyone else, the the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency or the Attorney General should choose who the police chief should be. So we stand no different than any governor would stand, not wanting to see that next tier of government overreaching and choosing who should run a branch of law enforcement in our community. Now, with that said, we want to highlight some of the positive news, and that is our economic development for 2025 results are in. And although we weren't number one, as we have been in a couple of years past, we weren't too far off of that, coming in at number 2 in the state in capital investment among existing industries, as well as number 2 in job creation among existing industries. So when you combine that capital investment in job creation, that shows the confidence that current employers have right here in Montgomery in our workforce and what we present around Central Alabama. That is, in my opinion, a great resounding endorsement for what we've been doing, and it continues to show even in capital investment, where we came in at number 3 at $1.2 billion. Now, not to say who's counting here, but we were number 2 before a major announcement was made in North Alabama, and we wish certainly the Huntsville area well with that announcement. So bumped us down to number 3, but I think it's something that we can still be proud of, and we can still poke our chest out with our partnership, both with the city, the county, and the Chamber of Commerce. Now, a number that we do want to improve on is that's new jobs created. We came in at number 4 with about 500 new jobs created. So we want to continue to work on that mix and work on that formula to see how we can not only create new jobs here with existing industries, but we want to make sure that we can scale and help our small businesses, homegrown businesses, scale up to become mid-sized businesses, and then help those mid-sized businesses scale up to become large businesses. That is how an economy should work. That's how the government and the private sector should work together. And so we're going to continue to do that to see what we can do to create more economic and financial opportunity around Montgomery and our community. But again, I think it's a great number to have 90% of investment, $1.1 billion, coming from employers reinvesting right here in Montgomery. And one example of that confidence can be seen in a major expansion that's underway. You may have heard me talk about this last night at the city council meeting in the mayor's message. DAS North America is expanding its Montgomery operation with a $77.6 million investment and 100 new jobs. Their continued trust underscores our position as one of Alabama's strongest markets for growth. So as we continue to build our economic future, we also take time to honor the legacy that is continuing to shape this path forward. So these are great announcements for us. We're proud of all of the entities that work together, all of our authorities, all of the civic organizations and nonprofits, and those at the local, state, and federal level who help us pull this together. Again, 2025 was a big winning year for Montgomery, the River Region, and Central Alabama. And we predict even more wins in 2026. So we started off on the right foot, and we think we'll continue to pick up that momentum as the year moves on. Now we want to highlight this weekend, which will mark the 61st annual crossing of the Edmund Pettus Bridge, a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement that helped pave the way for the Voting Rights Act of 1965. This year's Jubilee will include tributes honoring the late Reverend Jesse Jackson and his long connection to Montgomery's role in the fight for voting rights. We believe it's important to continue to remain vigilant in the progress for voting rights. We know that there are federal ideas and legislation that's being introduced. We stand firmly against that legislation called the SAVE Act. That legislation runs just the opposite of what John Lewis, Amelia Boynton Robinson, F.D. Reese, and so many others, Andrew Young, Hosea Williams, so many, Albert Turner Sr., so many others who were involved, and the list goes on, fought for. And I think when we consider this being the 61st anniversary, with so many of the luminaries coming to Montgomery, so many people who are participating coming to our city, it's important for everyone to know where we stand. And we stand just where the late Congressman John Lewis advised us just a couple of years ago, in the sense of his words, in that democracy and voting is not promised. It has to be fought for each and every day. And we have to make sure that we fight for it each and every day, wherever our feet may be planted. And so as we commemorate this weekend, I don't want anyone to think that this is just a celebration or it's just superficial. This is something that we believe in to our core, and it's something that our administration will continue to not only highlight, but to push back on each and every chance we get the opportunity. Now I want to mention the big news of today, and that is the appointment of our next fire chief for Montgomery Fire and Rescue. Today I'm proud to announce that the interim tag will be removed from Fire Chief Russell Collier, who has been officially appointed as Montgomery's full-time fire chief. Chief Collier is here with us today, and I'll invite him up shortly to share a few words. But first, I want to just tell you a little bit about him. He joined Montgomery Fire Rescue in 1998 and has served our community for more than 25 years across fire suppression, EMS, inspections, special operations, standards and compliance, and senior administrative leadership. He later became Chief Executive Officer for the department, and in 2024 was promoted to Chief of Staff, where he led strategic coordination across all divisions. He has served as interim chief since late summer of last year. Chief Collier holds numerous professional certifications, is a designated Chief Fire Officer, and was named Montgomery Fire and Rescue's 2004 Firefighter of the Year. His dedication, experience, and commitment to excellence make him the right leader to guide Montgomery Fire Rescue into the future. At this time, I want to ask Chief Collier if you'd like to come up and say a few words, and after that, we'll open it up any questions we have to the press. Chief Collier, congratulations.
Thank you all for being here today. Before I begin, I want to express my sincere appreciation to Mayor Reed for his trust and confidence in me and being placed the next fire chief for Montgomery Fire Rescue. Serving as interim fire chief over the last several months, I've gained a deeper understanding for the strengths of our department, the needs of the community we protect, and the dedication of our firefighters. I'm extremely proud of our personnel and the professionalism, the courage and compassion that they demonstrate every single day. As I step into this role permanently, my commitment is simple. I'm going to lead with integrity. I'm going to support the men and women of this department. And we're going to ensure that we continue delivering the high level of service that the citizens of this city are used to. We're going to focus on readiness. We're going to focus on innovation. We're going to focus on community engagement and the safety of both our residents and our firefighters. I look forward to working closely with the mayor's office and our city leadership and all of our community partners as we build on the stable foundation that we already have in place here at Montgomery Fire Rescue. And that's from the past leadership that we've had over the several years. Together, we're going to move this department forward. Thank you, Mayor Reed.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chief. That will conclude our media avail for today. At this time, we'll open up for any questions that you may have.
You mentioned the SAFE Act. What specific concerns do you have with that legislation?
Well, I think the legislation does more to prevent people from voting and expanding access than opening up the opportunity to participate in our democracy. I think early voting should be expanded. I think we want to make sure that we make the opportunities for people to participate in this democracy certainly as available as we can and as easy as we can. We do everything else with technology. We incorporate artificial intelligence Now this administration at the federal level has made that a priority. We ought to be doing that with voting. There shouldn't be the concern about who can vote when, as a former chief election official for this county for 7 years, I can tell you voter fraud was more talk than it was reality. Very, very, very few instances. I don't have enough decimals with zeros behind them to get to that one to tell you. So it seems the SAVE Act seems to be more about how to prevent some people from voting as opposed to how do we expand the right and the opportunity for people to vote.
So to follow up on that, as the mayor of a city that was so pivotal in the voting rights movement, do you feel a sort of responsibility towards voting rights?
For sure. I think you can't be in the position I've been in as the first black probate judge elected in this county, as the first black mayor of this county, this city, and not understand how we got here. Not understand that history, but more importantly, understand the lessons that came from it and how we implement it and how we lead from that perspective. It would be negligence not to do that. So from my standpoint, we have a responsibility and a duty to do that. That's not just my thought. It was what I was told by leaders like John Lewis, Reverend Jackson, and so many others, Attorney Fred Gray. So we have a responsibility to do that, or else we wouldn't be where we are in this position. And I think it's important as we talk about upcoming primary elections and general elections that people understand this was not always the case. It was not always the case when we just consider this is the 61st anniversary. That's in a lot of people's lifetimes. And so it wasn't that long ago right here we didn't have that chance. And so when you see legislation like the SAVE Act, it's incumbent upon us to push back forcefully on that. It's incumbent upon us to raise the flag, if you will, on that, and to make sure that we're communicating what that will mean to the community, whether it be a state, federal, or local election, where that's concerned. And I think certainly being here in Montgomery, we cannot afford to profit off the civil rights movement, as we have done for many, many years, and not practice the tenets of the civil rights movement. It would be hypocritical to do so, and I think we have a responsibility to do just that, is to push back, to call it out for what it is, and to make sure that our community is aware of legislation that's happening at the federal level or at the state level where it's concerned. All right. I don't see any other questions. So listen, I want to thank you all for your time. Thank you for what you do in the media, for covering our city, for the work you do each and every day. We appreciate that. And we want to make sure that the city is aware that we're going to continue to move forward. We're going to continue the momentum that we've had after 2025 economically, and we're going to continue to drive this region forward in a way that grows opportunity for each and every resident, regardless of the zip code. And finally, again, I just want to thank Chief Collier and say congratulations to him on his service to Montgomery Fire Rescue and to his time as interim chief and what he has done, and to all the men and women Montgomery Fire Rescue. I think we have an excellent leader and one who will lead in a way that not only makes us proud, but also makes us safe and gives us the confidence we need to go about our day each and every time. All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you.